Ladies and gentlemen, Hard to Kill, episode 10 something. I don't even know where I'm at anymore, but we got Scotty the Kid in the building tonight. We got
Yes, sir.
music producer, artist, maybe, truther,
Yes, yes,
Instagram
yes.
influencer. Where we at? What are we calling ourselves
Yeah.
nowadays?
Oh man, to be honest, bro, I'm just like I don't even know. Like I just grew up in LA. I grew up in Hollywood. I grew up in the scene, skating, DJing, producing music, making music, selling music, putting together my own shows, throwing underground parties, like acting, modeling. I don't even consider myself half of these things, but people are like, you should be an actor. And I'm like, okay, now I'm in this commercial. People are like, you should do modeling. And they're like, oh, here's an ad. And I'm like, okay, dude, like I just like to make music and skate and like, you know what I mean? So but basically, yeah, and now I do like private security and I'm starting and I work with a Good Lion TV. Shout out to my boy Good Lion TV. We're developing an app right now. There's like a bunch of things moving. But yeah, and I'm just a truth seeker, bro. You know what I mean? I just
I see you.
I
I
want
see
to,
you.
and as I started as things started to kind of come to like the surface and I started to realize things in myself and outside of me and connecting the dots. Now I'm just like, oh, I was nervous when I first was like, oh
Of
man, I know all
course.
these truths. Do I use my little voice that I have? Like I had like 30,000 followers on Instagram and I'm like, do I use
But
this
still,
voice?
listen, I'm one of your day one followers, bro. So now
Oh, damn. Okay.
being one of your followers, I know you don't show your face that often. And honestly,
No,
we
no,
really don't
no,
know
no.
we don't know much about you. So
That's
honestly,
cool.
why don't you give us like your first of all, everyone that is one of us, a truther,
Yeah, yeah,
we
yeah.
always have like defining moments. Defining moments,
Right,
if you
right,
will.
right.
There's something that like edged us into this space.
Totally. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
if you could introduce yourself a little bit, where you came
Yeah.
from, how you got here, and maybe what got you to where you're at right
Cool. Okay, so I was born in Arizona. So I was actually born on like a Native American reservation in Arizona. I'm Native American and a little bit of white. But yeah, I was born in AZ. Yep, just a little sprinkle. I was born in AZ, and then I moved to LA when I was a teenager. And just my mom's from here, my dad's from there, and I mostly just grew up in the scene. Like I said, just doing music, entertainment, just friends with everybody. Was big in the cannabis industry for a long time, and just created all these connections. I worked for really famous people, for a very long time and had good friendships, had falling outs, had my own things like I didn't agree with. I'm gonna keep it moving vibes,
now? I hear you.
So
I hear you.
I just I've always been real to myself, and that's one thing that's kind of like pushed me and created like created lines between me and certain people because I'm just honest and real, and I'm not gonna
Do you notice
agree to
that
something that
do you notice that being that person really aggravates a certain type of person? Like
oh,
it
because
kind
it triggers them bad, bro. It triggers them bad. Yeah, and
they
it's
make it seem, but they gaslight you into making it seem like you're an asshole or you're just
you're
disrespectful
selfish or you're selfish. They're like you're so
when really, dude,
selfish.
I'm
Like
just telling you how I see, what it
yeah,
is. You know what I mean?
exactly. So here's what I tell people is like when it comes to just this whole truther movement, like there's levels to it. So like I've kind of pulled it back as far as I could pull it back and I've exposed a lot of things and used my voice for children and innocent and trying to like, because to me the ultimate bomb is the human trafficking. If you know about the human trafficking problem, then everything else in the reality gets stripped away and you're like, wait a minute, if this is true, which it is, $150 billion a year industry, if all of these parts are moving behind the scenes right now, and I've
What
never
else?
seen any of them,
Yeah, exactly.
it pulls
Exactly.
back everything. All the cards
Yeah.
start to fall. So that's where I'm at. And it's about children and their innocence. So like, why would I
Yeah.
not want to stand up for that more
The
than
only
anything?
thing that's innocent, the only thing that's innocent
Literally, exactly. So I've been that was like a big time. Like even I'm a dad now, and when I found out I was going to be a dad, that was like a major shift to me because
changed stuff for you.
I was already on my path of like to be honest, like my mom was awake before me.
Really?
Like wait, like my grandma was awake, bro,
Wow.
for like since like the 90s, bro. She's
What do you think
been
caused that? What do you think caused that?
to be honest, so my great grandmother, so my grandmother's mom, she was the original like truther in my family. And so she in 19 like 78, she was like, oh, the New World Order is taking control by the time
That
it,
long
bro,
ago?
bro, like in the late 70s, or yeah, 78, I think my mom said. She was like, yeah,
OG over
she's
here.
she was like, yeah, she was like, she we used to call her name, we called her Mama. So she's like, Mama was always like even talking about the New World Order in the early 80s, late 70s. And I was like, no way. And so she was like, I remember when I was little, she was like, when there's when you see preachers go getting arrested for holding church, that's the end of the world. And I was like, that's never going to happen. She's like, you're going to
Didn't
see
make
it in your
sense yet.
lifetime.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like, you're going to see it in your lifetime. And I was like, remember being like, you're crazy, you know? And then COVID happened and then these preachers are getting arrested. And I was like, oh my God. And my grandma, I was like, Grandma, Mama knew. And she's like, of course she knew. I knew. Your mother knew. You're the only, like,
Do you know
we
how,
have to.
but just how you just said that, bro, you're crazy. That's how I try to understand the other people around me because I'm always wondering like why people are so mad when I say random things like exactly what we're talking about, stuff we believe in.
Well,
And it's because what's the first thing you think of when you hear like a new conspiracy story or a new listen, whatever you want to
yeah,
fucking label it, a
yeah,
new
yeah, yeah. A new
whatever,
story,
whatever
a
you want
new
to call it,
rabbit
a new
hole.
story that pushes your boundaries a little bit. The first thing
Yeah,
you
yeah.
think of is, oh, that's fucking crazy. No way that's possible. You know what I
Of
mean?
course, of course,
And that's
exactly.
where these people are stuck. So
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
get it
Because
to a certain degree.
yeah, yeah, but it's the ignorance is bliss. It's easier to live in a world, and then they think, okay, well, even if this is true, what can I do about it? And it's a matter of like the collective consciousness
Starting
all
it.
raising their energy together to
Yeah.
realize, you know what I'm saying? So back to the levels. So if people are on the ground floor of like knowing the truth, you can't tell them what's on level 3, 5, 7, 8. They're gonna be like, bro, you're crazy. Because
Yeah,
like
exactly.
there's things on like I say there's like there's like 1 through 10, right?
Yeah.
Stages. And then I'm like, but then there's like a trap door on the roof that gets you to the roof. And then there's another one, and you're like, God, really? This is it? This is what it is,
So
you
true.
know? So people like even on my Instagram, I'll probably say that I've only broken open like level 5 or 6, like,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
because I mean
Yep.
I've touched on like the reptilians a little bit, but like that's for like true
That's still a little
deep.
past me, bro. I just
Yeah,
got
yeah,
to
yeah,
flat Earth. I
definitely.
just
No,
got to
no.
flat
Okay.
Earth
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah.
wow, that actually kind of sounds like it could be true.
Yeah, bro,
You
here's
know,
the one argument that's for the flat earth. Everybody that like wants to argue and like
come
chop it
on,
up with me
come on,
over it. I'm like,
come
bro,
on.
this is the one. Okay. So these are the main one. The main one. If we were moving, we would just have to float above the airport, wait for that our destination to come to us, and then land. 1,000
I
miles per
mean,
hour spinning, we wouldn't have to go anywhere.
see I broke apart the 1,000 miles an hour thing, and that's gravity is different. When you get to different parts of where the Earth is actually spinning in real time, technically it's in space. So
Right, right,
does
right,
that?
right, right. Right, right,
But then
because of
again,
the
dude, I'm just getting to
conversion.
the point where space is bullshit.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
we're
yeah.
talking about
Exactly.
NASA here. You're
Yeah,
telling
yeah.
me
NASA is
NASA
trash.
is just
Yeah.
uplifting truths to Instagram? I fucking doubt it,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah, yeah,
Warner
yeah.
Van Braun made NASA. Okay,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
that's the top
exactly.
Nazi. Okay, like
Exactly, exactly. Like hello, and then and then when people start to get like the thing is you will never get through to people who are dedicated to misunderstanding you. So if they've convinced themselves, no matter what comes out of this guy's mouth, which is part of the program, it's part of the programming
you're
because
right. You're right.
they're so programmed to think that, and it's okay. So
I'll
it's
tell you what it is. Anyone that talks against the program is judged off rip.
right,
And
right,
when you
exactly,
judge someone
100.
off rip, you don't believe anything they say.
Yeah. Did you know that the term conspiracy theorist was created by the CIA in the
CIA. Yep.
70s? Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's what I'm like, that's a, that word is a operative.
It's
It's
like
been going on.
terrorist, terror, terror, terror,
Yeah.
terror.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
say it a bunch of
Exactly.
times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. 100. That's like it's all in front of you too. I'm like, tell a vision. So I'm subconsciously watching the TV and I'm telling myself, let me watch the
yep,
programming on
yep.
tell a vision. It's telling my mind and body and spirit, tell me what to believe. Tell
I'm
me the
realizing that
vision.
words mean a lot more than I ever gave
Well,
them
it's
credit for.
called
Uh,
spelling for a
spelling,
reason because they're
spell. Yeah,
spells.
cast. Yeah,
Black people live in projects because they are projects. Like my son's black, so for the record, if anybody out there wants to go off.
Nowadays, bro, you can't even get that out of your mouth. Yeah.
I know, real talk. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, but I'm like, yo, it's funny. I worked with Ludacris for a long time, and he was actually pretty receptive to the
I've heard that.
conversation.
I've
Yeah,
heard that.
about like the simulation, and he was like, "Hey, bro, you ever think we're in a simulation?" I was like, "Chris, don't even get me started, bro."
Stop it.
I was
Stop
like, "Don't
it.
even get me started, bro." I was like, "I'll never stop talking about it." He's like, "No, bro, put me on. What's up?" I'm like, all right, bro, put your phone down for 10 minutes and tell me how many times you think about picking it up between 1 and 10.
Yep.
And I said, how many times? And I said, you can't do it. You're
That's
programmed.
that's that's actually right there. The
Ah.
phone is the first thing that got me to realize like this is a drug. This is a
Yeah, yeah,
drug that I'm
it's
addicted
AI
to.
in it, but it's AI integration. It's the first step to integrating technology with man and machine. This is the first step. This is the beta
Scary.
tester.
Fuck.
It's the tester. This is the tester. This isn't even this is like to see what they can do. That's what COVID was to see how much they can push someone, to see what happens
How much they can get away with. Yeah, you're right.
when you
You're
put
right.
someone in
You're
a
right.
corner, they're like, oh, this is how they're going to react when we push them to this level. Hmm. If we push them a little harder, we could probably get them to do this next time and jump in the back of these
Okay,
carts.
so for everyone that's listening right now, and listen, you're dealing with two fucking nerds that listen,
Yeah, yeah,
believe
yeah, yeah,
heavily
yeah,
in their self being and what's going
yeah, yeah,
and how
yeah.
they interpret what's going on around them. So let me put you on to something real quick. I mentioned earlier a defining moment. There's something that gets us
Yeah.
here to puts us that puts you in the mind space to actually question everything because the normal person doesn't question everything as I'm realizing.
No, right, right,
They're
right.
very
Well,
receptive
they're
to everything
programmed
they're
not
told.
to.
Exactly. Well put. And for instance, my unplugging or whatever, my dematrixing, I was
You're
actually
awake. You're awakening. That's the
exactly,
awakening. Yeah,
exactly. I love it. I love it. So I was, dude,
yeah.
I was actually in Afghanistan, bro. Okay. And I'm
Whoa.
listen, just you need to appreciate this for what it is.
Okay, okay.
I'm completely plugged in, dude. I believe everything I'm told. I'm dealing with towel heads. They don't know what they're
Whoa.
talking about. I'm the all being white uh only person that's the good
Yeah,
guy. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
I'm literally, I got unplugged while like watching an operation. Like I was watching this operation happen. Like we're
Whoa.
kicking open doors, we're ripping families out of their houses, and we're yelling terror in their face. And they don't understand what the
Yeah,
fuck we're talking about. You
yeah,
know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
what am I
yeah,
looking at right now? Like, what am I
yeah.
really seeing right now? And it was actually very scary. Keep in mind, like I didn't really
Well, yeah,
know
because
how.
you're the first foot in, like you're the first body hot body in at the top of the coordination of the agenda. Yeah. Yeah, dude. I can only imagine you're the tip of the fucking iceberg, my man.
But keep in mind, everyone around me is an agent. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? Like,
right, right, right.
so if you're that first person that speaks against the current program, everyone directly looks at you.
Of
You know what I'm saying?
course, of course.
Exactly how
Yeah,
you
of
how you
course.
articulated that earlier, like on the button, bro.
Yeah.
And there's a certain type of person that can like act the part but understand everything that they're seeing around them. And I had to live that for a few years, dude. And
Damn, that's wild.
what
And
now
I
now
can't, and
now
you're
what
not the only one either, bro. That's the
but
craziest
it
thing
feels
too.
very lonely at the
Oh,
time.
especially in your field. Oh my goodness, I can't imagine.
So tell me, just because you said like fucking 15 words and I align with everything that you're saying. So what exactly got you there, dude? Because honestly, you don't have any like crazy story. You grew up in
Yeah,
LA. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
maybe
To to be honest with me, well, definitely the undertone of the darkness in Hollywood. So that
is that
always
is that like you see that? Like
yeah,
that's
so
like
not any of obviously I've never seen any of the trafficking or any of that stuff around obviously because that just even if I wasn't awake I'd be like
no, I get you. I
this
get
is
you.
wrong, we're calling the cops, I'm figuring it out. But not stuff like that so much, but just getting kind of like I'm a DJ, so like I got invited to a lot of things and
Got you. Got you.
saw a lot of things and just the presence of this darkness that's just feeding so much of the ego because Hollywood and everything, it's pure ego. It's look at me when I speak, I'm on camera, so I'm gonna say what I it's all
Look
fake,
how
it's
good I
all
look.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's all ego, it's all vanity, it's all that's all it is. So when you become more than when you're an evolved human, shed the ego. That's how you grow. We go through phases. Even I'm sure even now we always are growing and learning. So,
Of course.
and I've learned a
Of
lot, but
course.
even now I'm sure I have ego to shed. I'm not
Of
perfect,
course.
but I'm saying, like, when you really start to dig and like go in, you start realizing that all these things, they're just things and they're on the outside, and like it's feeding the fire of like sex and drugs and films and
Yep.
music and this, and everybody's having sex with each other and everyone's
Yep.
playing, like it's so fluid, just the game that everyone's playing together, and you're just in this cesspool of all these fake crazy looking people. And then like when like now I feel like because I'm awake, I see people through this like it's like the movie They Live, when he puts
Of
the
course.
glasses on he can see the truth.
Yep.
Now I feel like now it's like I have these glasses on and I see these women that I used to look at before, like, oh damn, like shit, damn, her
Yep.
ass is fat and this, oh
Yep.
she got.
Yep.
Now I like see them and I can like see the demon in them, and I'm like, oh my god, like I almost shared myself with this person, or I did share myself with that person, and like,
Facts.
oh my god. And then you start to kind of feel like some sort of darkness is pulling at you, because me, I grew up in church. I became like a self-proclaimed atheist through my 20s. I like got away from God. I just was like in this, and I didn't know, when you're in it and you're just like, oh, I'm sleeping with two or three girls at a time, it's no big deal, like this is
Of
chill, this
course.
is LA.
Of
Like
course.
you just like you're feeding your ego so much, you're so blinded, you're so lost. But only until you are out do you look at it and be like, oh my god, like I was really in that, and it's like I didn't do anything weird, I never forced myself on anyone, I never did anything outside of the, so I
Yep.
thought, I'm not breaking any rules, I'm not hurting anybody, but at the same time I was hurting myself,
Of
because
course.
it's like darkness is present and does exist. And the more, like as I like I said, when I knew I was going to have a kid and I like had self realizations, and I've
Just what
done
you said right there, self-realization. I'm realizing that that's a rare quality in people. Not everyone can look at themselves and be like, "I'm wrong here. This is a
yeah,
mistake."
yeah. But how are you going to be how, this is what I tell the truther community, how are you going to be a truther and not admit that when you're wrong? Like you're not a truther, you're a
Of
liar.
course.
because
Absolutely.
because if you don't admit you're wrong and you try to convince everybody else around you that
Facts.
they're wrong because
That's
of their
exactly what we're fighting
ego,
against. Yeah.
then you're right back to
Square one.
so
Facts.
yeah, exactly. So the realizations, having self realizations, I was like, I've done mushrooms a bunch of times, I've done
Yep.
LSD, I've done all these
Yep.
things, and I used to be its intention. So before I used to just be like, oh man, I'm gonna get lit, it's gonna be great, I'm gonna see some shit, and I would not trip out, and I was like, yeah. But as I
You
got
wouldn't think about
older,
it.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
as I
Yeah.
got older, and I kind of like different things started to crack around me, the matrix itself in certain ways. I'm like, why are people so like, half brain dead?
Yeah.
Everyone seems half brain dead. Everyone's like an NPC right now. Like I even test it. I'll even go somewhere and not say something and just
That's
kind of
when you really
observe.
scare yourself. When you test, I've tested it just like you
I
just said. And when you see it do exactly what you think it's gonna do, it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you're
Like,
like, okay, I really am in a matrix. Yeah, that
been
like
there.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's no, dude. And then you're like, and that's when you realize it's like, one thing I tell people too, I'm like, dude, when we were in elementary school, we used to swish fluoride as children in elementary school. Fluoride calcifies your pineal gland. It's like the
Like
gland,
closes it off.
it like literally calcifies it and crystallizes it and hardens it. So if
Damn.
you drink enough fluoride and you get enough fluoride in your
You're not even
body,
capable.
you're not even capable of like reaching a higher frequency. So that's the goal, is like the program. I tell people, I'm like, it's the food, it's the preservatives in the food, it's the stuff in the air that they're breathing, it's the water they're showering. Why do you think everybody's turning gay and bisexual and all this? They're showering in this water. And then on top of it, the way, like for instance, I've really broken out. My family, like they were aware and awake, but I've really gone for it and figured a lot of it out, you know and it's just one of those things that like you can't force people to do. Like it's,
So when you
they're
say broken out,
it's
when you say broken out, like I'm gonna give
yeah.
you my example of that. Tell me what you think about it, because I honestly I don't think I really told this story to many. because in fright of being judged, in fright because I didn't really
Of
fully
course.
understand it, and so so after I got out of the Marines, I was shot in the head in Afghanistan, my last
Oh,
deployment, and I had to
damn,
go through
bro.
like a bunch of rehab. I had to learn how to walk again. It was a
Damn, bro.
process, bro. It was a
Wild.
process. So during that, the VA gets you hooked on pain meds,
Of course.
Percocet, Oxy, anything, dude.
Opiates.
Any kind of opiate. I think they gave me fentanyl patches at once too.
Yeah.
When you
Yeah.
finally realize that and you have to get off of opiates and you realize how hard it is, it's a process, bro. So I've been to rehab this, rehab that. I've been to
Damn,
PTSD
bro.
rehab. I've had to do a lot of self. Listen, when you're a Marine, dude, it's just hammer, hammer. There's no self realization. There's no looking at what your actions cause and
Yeah,
what that
yeah.
means intrepidly to you in real
Right.
time.
Right. Right.
So, anyways, I did this rehab one time, and whenever you're in a rehab that you don't have people that have been in combat, you're reluctant to tell stories. You're reluctant to talk around
Of
like people that
course.
don't understand it.
Naturally.
So, anyways, I was in a situation like that. I had a young woman that was the psychiatrist that had just gotten out of college, had never done anything dirty or wrong in her life, so she wouldn't know the textbook definition of how to treat it. Anyways, she's
Uh-huh.
asking me for my triggers. And I humor her. I talk about a friend of mine dying, and I came home and I put a gun in my mouth and I was contemplating
Right.
suicide. This is 8 years prior. This was Iraq. I mean, a 21-year-old, their first time going to
Right. Of
combat, they see their
course.
friend die. That's a normal,
That's that's a
thing to
trauma,
happen.
a
Of
huge trauma. Yeah.
course. Anyways, so I told her that, and it was like I saw uh, shimmer in the matrix right there. I talked about suicide when I was not supposed to talk about suicide, and I saw the
Uh,
breakdown of her going to another nurse, a nurse going to a doctor calling an ambulance. I'm getting sectioned 5150 into a hospital where they're
whoa.
demanding that I can't have anyone present, and they're demanding a blood and urine sample from me. Like this happened in within 15 minutes, bro. I'm like, wait a
Whoa.
minute. Like I'm in this place to talk about the things that are really bothering me, and I'm
Right.
and
Right.
I'm
Right. Right.
telling you exact. I'm doing exactly what you're telling me to do, and you're
Yeah. Yeah.
5150
Exactly.
me
Yeah.
for
It's
this.
actually, and see, that's where she's even going against, because as a therapist, it's the patient.
HIPAA, exact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of
Yeah. Yeah.
course.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's the that. So she didn't honor that. I mean, shit.
Anyways,
That's
anyways, so I get shot full of ketamine. Keep in mind, I've done shrooms once or twice. Never
right.
like
Right.
bumped it up to acid. I've always enjoyed myself on a trip. I've never
Right.
had a bad trip.
Sweet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get shot full of like a fucking syringe deep of ketamine. I watch it go into my
Oh,
body, bro. I'm
good
like, what are
Lord.
you
No.
shooting full of me? And I'm like,
Damn.
everything just shimmers, dude. Okay. I
Oh,
wake up
well.
2 days later. Okay.
I was about to say that much ketamine, bro. That's insane.
Listen,
You don't need
listen,
that
listen,
much.
listen. I don't know if you've gone through like trouble in your life, if you've had bad times, good times, but if you ever have traumas, any like bad shit, and you get and you're in a bad environment, a stressful environment, and you get
Yeah.
shot full of a psychedelic, my
Yeah.
friend, you lived there in that
Uh,
moment, and it seems like you're
you they K hold you for 2 days, bro.
bad,
In your
bad, dude.
in your like misery. Wow.
I'm
That is
talking. I'm coming
sickening.
back, dude, and I'm questioning reality. I'm not believing that I'm alive.
Right,
I
right.
don't
You're
know
like, I
who I
died.
am. Yeah, listen, it was
Damn. Gnarly,
yeah.
bro.
So you go through something like that, and what you just said
That's
2 seconds ago
crazy.
is when you test against the matrix. Like I was doing shit to like test against like
Hmm.
NPC activity in the matrix, and it was
Yeah.
doing exactly what my brain was telling it would do, and it was
Yeah,
really scary, dude.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I walked into a coffee shop yesterday and I tested it. I walked in and I was gonna dude, I walk in, there's two people, three people standing at the end of the coffee thing that are workers. There's a couple people in there drinking coffee. They all three disperse right when I walk in. I'm thinking, oh, they're gonna help me, whatever. One goes to the window of the drive-through, one goes to the other coffee machine, and the girl working there puts her back to me and she starts cleaning the counter across from the counter she's supposed to be looking at me at to ring me up. And they looked at me. They all looked at me. And I sat there and I said, I'm gonna see how long I'm gonna stand here until she helps me. So about 30 seconds goes by and she's still cleaning, bro. She sees me. She saw me. She saw me. And then the guy in the middle goes, she'll be right with you. I go, no worries. Cause I was just like, So I stood there, and there's a guy that gets in line behind me and goes, looks at me, he's like, "What's going on?" And I was like, I stood there and I just stood there and watched. And then she's like, and she's literally like pushing water around the sink. It was something like not
I
even
get it.
needing to be
I
done.
understand.
Yeah. And she turns around, she wipes her hands, gets a napkin. She's like, "What would you like to order?" And I'm like, "NPC, bro." Like, and it's just, and also like different generations, like this generation, like gets instant gratification. Everything's handed to them. They don't have to be patient. They don't have to wait. They don't have to work hard. There's all these things like elements. And I'm like, bro, if you can, I tell people, I'm like, can you not see the agenda? If you can convince the men that they're women and then the women that they're men in 20 years, when you go to knock a door down, there ain't
Done.
no men.
Easy
There
day.
ain't no
Easy
men. The
day.
men are gone, bro.
Okay, so if you're at this level, then you're often asking yourself, what the fuck am I a part of? What
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, yeah.
fuck
Yeah,
is
yeah. How like
this?
I'm like the mouse in the wheel. I'm just spinning my wheels like,
Like,
okay, I guess so.
am I in someone's nightmare right now? Like,
Well,
is
bro,
this like
here, there's the also the conversation of like we literally could be a cell
I knew
inside
you were
of
gonna go
like
there.
God's
Yep. Yep.
bloodstream.
Yep.
Like we could be a cell inside of God's bloodstream. We could be in a bubble of a cell.
So then
I,
you question time. You question time. What is
yeah,
time?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, time
Time
is
is
not
subjective.
even time is subject. Yeah, time is
It's
nothing.
something
Time.
human, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And then even our existence, like here's the thing. The weird thing is if you think about if you break down the timeline of life, like literally, like not to say like this, but unfortunately, like the slavery in Nazi Germany was like last week.
That I've been there. I get it.
You
I get
know,
it. I
so
understand.
if it was that not that long ago, then what's to make somebody believe it couldn't just happen again? But
Easy.
the thing is though, the only saving grace that I think I have is that we our citizens out we like have 10 times the guns and ammunition of like
Yeah, that's
every
true.
other
That's
country's
true.
military in the
That's
world.
true.
So like
What I'm
it would
saying is
really
though,
come
it
down
could
to,
happen. It could happen.
yeah, the United
And
Nations would have to come in and they would partner with the United States government and the army and the Marines and everybody, and they would just start cleaning the streets off and putting everybody
what
in
about
FEMA
this board?
camps.
What about this border thing, dude? I mean, what else could it be?
Dude, you want to hear the craziest thing? This is real talk. So my dad's Native American, but he's dark skinned, bro. Like dark, dark.
Okay.
Like people are always
Okay.
like even like real dark. So people are like, damn, bro. So they used to think my dad was Middle Eastern. They used to think my dad was Middle Eastern. And like during 9/11 and shit, I was in middle
Of
school and
course.
the
Of
kids
course.
would
Got
come to
it.
play, like kids would
Got
want to
it.
come play with me and they'd be like
Got it.
throwing a rock at my door. My dad's like, "What's up?" And they're like, is Scotty home? And he's like, "Yeah, you guys can come up to the door." And they're like, "We're cool." And they're like, "Bro, your dad's scary, bro." I'm like, "Yeah." And even my little cousin, when he was a baby, goes, "Osama bin Laden." And he pointed at my dad. So my dad, during that era, 2001, 2002, he was like, if I was trying to infiltrate the United States, I would just send a bunch of if I was the middle, if I was Afghanistan or Iraq or whoever we were fighting against, he's like, I would just be shipping all these men to Mexico and having them cross the border there.
Overload
And
that
they're not,
motherfucker.
and all they got
Yep.
to do is say no habla inglés. That's the only thing
Exactly.
they
I
need
don't
to
know what you're
learn.
talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And my dad's like, they could pass. He goes, look at me. People think I'm Middle Eastern. I'm Mexican. Like, so he's like, it's possible. And
It's
I
a
was like,
fact.
yeah, yeah. And now look what's happening. Like, dude, I mean, for all it could be is an activation. They're just waiting to be like, okay,
Sleeper
it's go
cells.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
sleepers just wake up and start bombing all the major cities. And the biggest thing would be if an EMP went off. That would definitely like that's the
Knocked out
main
power.
thing. That yeah, yeah. And I'm like, that's the main thing. If all power is out, it's a free for all.
Shit
But
show.
yeah, yeah. And it would just be the government would come in after they let all of
Of
us wipe
course.
each other
That's their
out. And then
excuse right there. Yeah.
yeah, 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 exactly. Yeah, because I mean, ideally, people go, well, what's the whole point? And I'm like, everything is energy. Like, even I believe in God now. I go to church, like I pray every day, and I'm like, and
How
even
do you get to
people.
the point how do you get to the point of believing in God when obviously you've questioned every religion? You know what I'm saying? Like
So
you
I've like what when I was like a self-proclaimed atheist, like I said, I realized
that's
that
where
stuff
I'm
was
at.
going. Well, yeah, I understood stuff was going on in Hollywood, and I was going through some stuff with my son's mother. We had just broken up. I was dealing with a lot of stuff. I was in between place. There was so much going on. I was
Gotcha.
in kind of a bad spot, right? And then COVID happened, and so I have a newborn. It's COVID. Me and my son's mom broke up. I'm in a bad place, and I literally went to the beach and took like 7 or 8 grams of mushrooms, and I like meditated on the beach for like 2 hours, and not like
Really?
I wasn't even in my meditation. Like now I do breath work. Now I really meditate and I go in and I'm like, I know what I'm doing now. But even at that time, I didn't know what I was doing like that. But I just was like, God, I'm stuck, man. Like I got no girl. Like I'm broke. My son, like like I'm
I'm rock
figuring out what
bottom.
to do with
Yeah.
my son. And then COVID just kicked in. So and like now I'm doing like delivery service for a marijuana company for my boy. Thank God I had a job during COVID, so I'm not gonna complain. But it was not what I was doing. I was working in film production. I had a good job. Stuff was rolling, and I was like, God, like low key, like I was like, man, like if you ever wanted to like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
talk to
yeah.
me, like I'm listening, bro. And God spoke to me, bro. And literally that was like got like it sound and I was so in tune and tripping so hard and so like in my higher self that my friends that were with me, it sounded like they were at the end of a hallway and I could hear their thoughts. And
I get you.
later I came back and I came out and I was like, you said this in your head, you said that in
Oh,
your
you
head, you
called it
said this.
out?
And after, and they're like, bro, you're freaking me out, dude. And I'm like, that's exactly what you said. You were like, yo, I hope Scotty's okay. And then so like an hour later, she said, oh yeah, I wonder if he needs anything. And like in her mind, not out loud. And I told
So
them,
hold on. You're dropping bombs here right now, dude. Listen, what you just said right there, I've never been able to explain. So when I got out of that ketamine, whatever it was,
yeah,
the reason I was questioning reality is because I knew what people were thinking. I would be
right,
around them and I
right.
and I could tell you what they were thinking when they looked at me.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
their
You
first
can,
thought,
it raises your frequency. Your frequency just
you're giving
gets
me goosebumps right
heightened.
now, dude. Like, yeah,
Dude,
like,
yeah. And it's an
okay.
instant activation. And so it comes down again to intention. So the same way that you were like in that space, in that ketamine like realm, all messed up,
Whatever
like
it
to
was.
whatever, but the intention you came out with is like you had a positive more than negative, because when you came out, you wouldn't have been able to read people's thoughts. It would have hurt you more than
Yeah,
you were like,
no,
oh, I'm
of
in
course.
tune. That's because like most people that they probably give that to live in that negative space. So when they come out, they're still in that space, but you are just different and you went there without the intention of like, hey, I'm feeling depressed. Hey, like I've considered killing myself. I put a gun in my mouth. Like, this is what I'm dealing with. But you're not coming in here like, I want to kill myself. You're just like, hey,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
this is
yeah.
what's happening. But like, I can tell that and it's okay even if you do go in there and you cry and like, I want to kill myself. Like, that's what therapy's for.
Yeah,
But
facts,
either way,
facts.
I'm saying that when
I hear what you're
you
saying.
said it, your strength in you saying it, and then them doing that to you, and then you coming out and being able to connect to somebody that deeply, that means that the intention of who you are is lives in a positive space more than negative. So you were able to elevate you rather than diminish you, if that makes sense.
Of
So even
course,
you
it
coming out
makes.
being like, I could hear their thoughts. It's a trip. So me, like in the mushroom thing, like really like talking to God, like that frequency is like vibrating above me. I'm in my higher self. And so, like I said, I could hear that. And it sounded like I said, there's no other way to describe it, like at the end of a hallway, but they were standing like 10 feet behind me, 20 feet behind me, and in the ocean. And they like look back and I was like, yeah. And then when you guys were over at the water, you're like, someone go check on Scotty. And they're like, so they were like, bro, you're wild, bro. There's no way you could be lying. I'm like, obviously, like I wouldn't tell you if I didn't hear that, And then and I was like, yo, God spoke to me and God told me, use let go of your son's mom, let it go. Not good for you. Shed that. You have to. And I was like, oh no, because I was stuck on her, to be honest, bro. I was like, no, I want it to
Do you
work.
see how you're being so
And
real with yourself?
dude, yeah,
You're
yeah,
killing it right now. Keep going.
yeah, dude. So I was like, I want it to work, and God's just like, let it go. And like, I was like, oh,
No.
okay, okay, okay. So I let it go. And then it was like, use your voice to speak up about what you know is going on, because those are my kids. And now that I was going to be a father, and he's like, I'm your father, and you're going to be a father. So let me show you how a father is supposed to protect his kids. And I was like, and he's like, I'm using you to do my work. So
Yeah, 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 yeah.
that's what I expect you to do. And I was like, okay. all right. So I used my social media. I started using my voice, lost 10,000 followers instantly, got blacklisted from Hollywood and productions and this. And people were like, this guy's on one. He's off the deep end. Right. And then I started to do the marches. And those marches started to go viral and all kinds of videos. I mean, you know, the children's marches. I don't know if you ever
Yeah.
saw them in
Yeah.
2020.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I started that off of my Instagram. So I used my Instagram as a forum and I put a black square and I'd put the city of where I have somebody there that's going to orchestrate it. And I'd tag them in the caption and I'd be like, tag somebody in your city to go to this march here. And it'd
Damn,
be
that's
like
hard.
4,000 comments, bro, people commenting and talking back and forth. And I'm like, DM this person. So I was putting together like international marches. I was going to do a 100 city march and then ended up being 200 city march. So the first one I did, I didn't storm CNN. There was a guy in my crew that came out to support. They're like, let's go into CNN. And everybody stormed CNN. And I was like, I didn't tell anybody to storm CNN. The cops got up with me at the second march and like gave me a warning. And like, it was a whole thing, bro. Like, I could go deep dive into everything that happened with them. But that's another
Keep going.
time. But
Yeah.
bro, so like, yeah, I do this march. So I'm like, okay, I'm using my voice. I let go of my son's mom. And, dude, like,
But shit
dropping
happened
a
like that.
dropping a bomb, like, um, can't say I know who, not particular, but the group. But the day after my second march, I was totaled in my car outside of my apartment in my car by a Chinese
Damn.
immigrant who was driving a car that was not his and he had a piece of paper as a passport. That's its own story. So my car's totaled and I'm a delivery driver during COVID. So now I can't work. So I was like, okay, God, let go of my girl using my voice. Now I'm like blacklisted and I can't get any work. Now I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone's
Yeah. I hear you.
hating on me on CNN, NPR, MSNBC. They're all
What the
putting out
fuck?
all kinds
Yeah.
of trash about me. And I'm like, and then I lost my apartment because I couldn't work because my car was totaled during
Got you.
COVID. And I'm like, cool, God. Thanks, bro. Like total victim mentality. Like, oh, but I was like, all right, we'll see what's up, dude. Like literally 3 weeks after my car gets totaled, I woke up and 10K was in my bank account from the IRS that had owed me back taxes, bro.
What?
Bro, when I tell you, bro, when I tell you, like 9 months previously, my grandfather had died, and I just the IRS like documents of his death along with copies of my stuff, along with and because they're like because so basically he did them from the year before late and it was a whole thing and so
Still,
they were
when does
like,
the IRS ever
dude,
pay money like that?
so it's a long story, but they ended up. I'm like, dude. So they owed me on back taxes for 2 years, and so and then one of them I had a kid who I could claim, so I even had more
Got
that
you.
they didn't give
Got
me.
you.
So they
Got you.
kicked
Got
me
you. Got you.
back 2 years of all this, and I was like, oh my god. And I went and I bought my truck that I have right now, and I was like, cool, got a truck, straight, okay, cool, thanks God, all right. And then like 2 weeks after that, I had money in cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin spiked big
Stop
time in
it.
November of 2020 and I ended up making like to 18 grand. And I was like, cool, cashed out that. And then I'm like, I gotta find a place to live with me and my son, and I take care of my
Damn.
mom too. So I'm like, we're all three living in my studio, my one bedroom in Hollywood at the time with all of our stuff because I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And so I took that money, and then yeah, I put it down on like on a crib that I'm living at right now. And so,
So
and then I
whatever.
moved.
Still,
Yeah, so
it
now
worked. It
I was like,
worked positively for you.
yeah, I was like, new crib, new car, and then I started dating someone else in a really healthy relationship, and I was like, oh, new car,
You're
new chick,
happy.
new,
You're happy.
yeah, yeah. It was so wild, and everyone's like, bro, how did that even? I was like, dude, honestly,
If I
God,
told you where
bro,
it
I
started,
don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't even know what else to tell you. And then I have the thing is that um, I've even since then because I have a relationship with God now, and I'm like I have like I speak to Him
Well, okay.
to
First
where
of
it's
all,
like
so
even
everyone understands what you're saying. What does God mean to you? When you say God, are
so
you
the
talking about that
idea
voice that talks
let me
back to you when you?
let me tell you, so the idea of what God actually is, our minds can't even fathom on like any level. So when people are like, oh, like, what's God to you? I'm like, the idea of what I think God is isn't even like, it's like 0.01% of what he actually is. So there's no way. So God is the eternal, is the all knowing, is the entire, like I said, we could be a blood bubble cell in his system right now. Like that's how significant and so
Gotcha.
large and so
Gotcha.
out of the understanding
Can't
of
even
a
fathom
regular
it.
person.
Yeah.
Right. So it's unable to fathom. And so, the major, I not saying that other religions, it's like different verse, same song, kind of, you know what I'm saying? So it's still connection to the eternal source of understanding, because it's the same thing that connects me and a Buddhist, me and a Muslim, me
I
and
hear you. I
it's
hear you.
it's that love, it's that joy that comes from the root of our soul,
It's
that
that
you're my
energy,
bro,
bro. You talked about energy
you're my
earlier. Energy's real, dude.
yeah, my brother, like my son's godfather, my best friend, he's from Africa, and he's Muslim. And we are like, oh, I have so much respect for him as my Muslim brother, and he has so much respect for me as his Christian brother, that like we already know it's the same. There's not even a question of, oh, like, oh well, I believe in Allah and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
believe
yeah.
in
That
God, and he believe, it's
doesn't
like
even,
it's a
yeah.
translation of the same, and at the
I get it.
root, it can also, all religions have been used and manipulated to hurt
Of
and to
course. Of
kill.
course.
So
This is why
naturally, people are going to be like, "Oh, I don't want to affiliate myself with religion because now I'm under the umbrella of Christianity. Now I'm under the umbrella of Muslims and the way they talk and feel." That's an individual representing whatever their translation is of it, most likely in a negative way, because a lot of people live in the ego. Because
extremist.
because if
Yeah.
because if you understood that it was based on all love, that's actually what Allah, God, Buddha, what
You
all
know,
of these.
that's what Afghans would tell me about the Taliban. They were people that interpreted the Quran in an extremist view. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly,
So it's
because here's the thing people don't understand is that Muhammad was a prophet to Jesus. So like people don't understand that the Quran and the Bible are in alignment. Like the end of the Bible syncs with the Quran, like the beginning of
yeah.
it's the same timeline, it's the same existence. Like they believe in Jesus too, they just believe he was a prophet, like Muhammad, but Muhammad was the chosen one, and for whatever reason, and it doesn't even change anything other than being like, we know that we're stop.
Hey, hold on. Hey,
One second.
give me 1 sec. I gotta go to the
Sure.
bathroom, but
Yeah,
I'll
yeah,
edit
yeah.
this
No
out.
worries. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm gonna put my dog away real quick. Come here. Come here. Come here. In here. Go. Come here. Oh.
You there?
Yes, sir. Yes,
All right, so
sir.
we just started talking about religion, dude, which kind of
Yeah, yeah.
surprises me that you're so heavy on religion being like,
Well, that's the thing. That's the craziest part. Like, because, like,
what it really
like I
means is it's
said,
worked for you, dude. You've seen something from it. You've seen something that you
right.
believe.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the main thing is people don't think you can be spiritual and kind of like be like religious, right?
That's what I'm
Because
saying.
it's people think it's like contradictive because people are like, oh, like I'm like, what do you think I'm doing when I'm meditating? Not only am I like collecting my quantum energy and like coming into stillness, but in the Bible it says if you want to see God, you need to come into stillness, be still, and you will find me. So, that means collecting your energy, being quiet and shutting it down and not letting anything distract you and living in that present moment and speaking and seeking from your heart. And that is that people call it meditation, people call it prayer. To me, it's the same thing. Like I'm tapping into that energy, that quantum realm. And I also another thing is that even like I said, it's been manipulated so much over time and used to hurt and kill people that
That's what I
even
mean.
so
Yeah.
being yeah even being like, oh, I'm a Christian, I don't stand by anybody's that claims that uses God in the name of their agenda to hurt anybody, because everybody is welcome to. Jesus loved everybody
Yeah,
and
yeah.
God loves everybody, and people go, okay, well, why specifically Jesus? And I'll tell you why. Because when you're an atheist and like you really just don't believe it, I'm like, I need some like facts. Like I want to
No, I
see
get
some
you. I
facts,
get you. I get you.
So I watched this movie that was turned from a documentary into a movie, and it's about this woman who has a supernatural experience. She has like a near death experience, and in the moment, like a car's on her or something. I can't remember. It's been a while since I saw it, but there's something like there's a moment where it's like time slows down and she's like, God, if you help me, like I promise you, I will follow you. I will follow you. I will seek you for the rest of my life if you save my life. And something happens like crazy supernatural that shouldn't happen, and her life gets saved. And she starts going to church every day and she starts seeking God. And her husband's like, whoa, what's going on with
Yeah.
you? And he's a journalist from like the New York Times. Like he's a prestigious, like a real journalist. And he's like, what's going on with you? She's like, I made a promise with God. If he saved my life at that accident, that I would follow him. And that's what I'm doing. She starts going to church, starts being friends with people at church. And he's like, okay, he's like, I'm going to prove to you that Jesus wasn't real. And so what he does is he does a whole like uses all his resources, calls these people, and he does this whole hour-long thing of you see him talking to scientists, journalists, historians, going and getting second opinions,
Yeah, yeah.
scientists, and they're like, and he's like, okay, so what you're telling me is like Jesus was real. Is like, yes, he was a man. He walked the earth. There's more than enough proof, and these calculations also show that. And he's like, but isn't it just, he's like, look, dude, there's just a few things that no one can explain, even in science, but he existed and he was here. And the guy's like, he's like, is there anything else you need help with? I'm busy, And the guy's like, no. And he's like, so he goes through this whole thing and basically he ends up finding out that like Jesus was real. And there's a documentary on it too about it, him and his finding out that, because he goes through everything, bro. Flies to like Italy where they have his a robe he wore and pulling the DNA off of it. Like he's a journalist. He's like, I'm gonna go in on proving to you that Jesus wasn't real. And at the end, he's like,
He
he
finds
was
his
real.
faith.
Like he was a man. It's like God came in human form and lived a perfect life and sacrificed that life to show us what
You know what I
sacrifice
have
and
trouble
love
with when it
is.
comes to religion, really? It's like the world we live in today, it's so apparent that evil wins at the end of the day.
Yeah,
It's
well,
so
see, no, definitely, and I mean that's the discouraging. So that there again, imagine that we're all cells. Every human being is a cell in the human brain of consciousness of everybody, And it's the same way when you think of negative things happen to you individually. Like I've gotten like riled up and pissed and this and that. And then I'm like, oh my God, I lost that fucking $50.
You
I'm
put
tripping.
negative out
Like,
there,
yeah.
negative comes
So,
back. Yeah.
so, so imagine you're a cell operating a huge brain of consciousness and you're one of the negative thoughts, thinking we're not going to win. But if there's, if we're raising our consciousness together, being like, no, we win.
I
Like
hear you.
we're gonna now as a, follow me, as the analogy of a brain that you are a cell in, if it shifts into the positive, it's going to manifest positive as a higher consciousness, collective consciousness.
I
So
get you. I
that's,
hear you.
but it's not easy because
No, it's
it's,
not.
yeah, because daily you're reminded more and
Oh,
more how
exactly.
negative it
Yeah.
is and how much deeper we are getting in. And then people say, okay, so what, how do you live your life? I'm like, I don't want to die any sooner than I have to, but 10 out of 10 of us is going to die. I'm comfortable standing up for mine till my death and taking what's mine, and making sure that my people are protected and families protected. That's fine with me. I'm comfortable with that. If I know it's coming down to that, definitely. And that's, and the worst thing they can do is, you can only kill me once, man. You
Yeah, no,
know,
I hear you. I get it.
but people are like, that's so depressing. And I'm like, that's, you can't live in that reality. I'm ready. I'm got gallons of water, tons of dry food, whatever, all the things I need to survive, I have them, but it's still like, if it, it's just, you can't live thinking that it's going to happen constantly, because that's not living. Because
Yeah,
now you're living for the future, you're not living in the present.
that's
If you're
true.
living in the past, you're depressed. If you're living in the future, you're anxious.
I feel like all we have is the present. That's all we
Yeah,
can.
there is nothing
Yeah,
outside of this
yeah,
moment right now. There is no past, there is no present. That's why
exactly.
even this existence of time, days, oh, the days, I heard something that was like, the days are long but the years are short. And it's
That's
like
trivia.
that's definitely what it is, and that's why, we even think, oh man, life is short. Like, bro, this is like, we're like, all of
I
human
know.
existence
I
is
know.
like in the blink of an
But
eye
see,
of
what I'm
like
starting to
God,
contemplate, dude, is did the past even happen? Because there's so many outcomes. There's so many
Yeah, yeah.
like,
To
is
be
the
honest,
past?
we could even be in a like, in between two portals, just
Yeah,
existing. Like
yeah.
there might not be, there might
You
not
know,
even have anything ever existed. We could even have fake memories. These could be
that's
fake
what I'm
memories.
saying.
And
It's
that's why I was even telling you about even like eugenics, when I was like, when we are DMing, because I was like, eugenics is the biggest one. If you can explain to our generation that our great great grandparents were the last people that were a non-manipulative group of people when it comes to the programming. Once radio and television was implemented, then they were able to control television
or
first.
really, really real time the phone, bro.
Yeah,
Some of the
well,
cell
no,
phone.
yeah, oh yeah, no, I mean, that is hyper control, because here's the thing too. Every year, uh the smallest microchip that exists today, next year is going to be half the size, and it's going to hold
10
twice
times
the
more. Yeah,
information.
yeah, yeah,
So it exponentially is growing on a scale that is going to be out of control eventually, which is where we're basically at.
yeah.
So, but yes, you're right, it is the phone, but I'm saying that when the programming started, when our grandparents were little kids, or our great grandparents were kids, then, and the programming was implemented by like the 13 most powerful families in the world, what they did was they created a money system so that way they could control. Because if you just went off a barter system, you'd never need
Exactly.
money. So
Exactly.
it was a way for them to shift economic, their economic situation, from squeezing the citizens and taking full control of them. And then, because we all know money is BS. And so
Yep.
on the Titanic,
I
Jacob
saw that.
Astor,
Yeah.
he was like one of the richest men in the world, and he didn't want to create a money system, the private reserve. So the Titanic sank rumor has it, because they wanted him
I
to
know.
die so the
I've
money
been looking
shift
at
would
that.
happen. Yeah. So, and then it's
So
like
so that's when the
two
Federal
years to the
Reserve.
day, two
Yeah.
days to the year Titanic sank, they opened the Federal Reserve on the day Titanic sank.
Creepy,
2 years.
creepy,
Creepy.
creepy.
Yeah, dude. So that's what it is. And then it's a formulated program for all of our grandparents and our parents, and now the phones now with us. So now we're so
How old are
integrated with
you? How old are you? Are you
30,
30?
34.
Yeah, same here. 89.
Sick. Yeah, 89.
So
Hey,
so
nice.
so you remember what it was like without phones?
Oh
Like
yeah,
you remember?
bro.
Yeah.
Yes, the best. The best, bro. Come
That's what I
on,
mean. It
bro.
was a lot
The
different,
good
dude. It
times.
was
Oh,
good
yeah.
vibes. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
definitely. It's like you're on your bike riding around, like somebody presses you, you're gonna end up fighting them, or whatever happens, like you're just like a kid wrestling, playing basketball, being out. Like, but I remember my family, yeah, it was the best. My family was just like be home when the lights come on
yeah,
and just let me run around. God, I was
yeah.
like 10,
I feel
11.
like that doesn't exist anymore, dude. Just that energy
Bro,
in general.
and
That's not
even
a
now
thing.
it's weird because even now as a father, like I'm like, man, I wouldn't even want that anymore. Even in LA specifically, yes, it's a little different when you live out in other areas that are safer. But obviously LA is like no. But even if I didn't live in LA, I'm like, man, the trafficking situation is sketch, bro. They're
That's
everywhere.
wild. That's
So
wild, dude.
yeah,
So
the
you
world
lived
has
in LA this
changed
whole time then. You've always been in LA.
since a
So
teenager, since I was a teenager, like
so
17.
okay. So when you talk like trafficking, what was your first when did you first see
Uh,
that? When was that first like apparent to you that you noticed it?
Um, well, to be honest, I had a cousin who lives in the mountains, up like in the mountains in Arizona, in northern Arizona. And she's the biggest of them all. Like
For
she's
real?
been sending me stuff. And then she's like, there's a human trafficking problem in the country. And like, she's sending me all this stuff on it. And I was like, oh my god, like people are
Because
like
it is real.
doing like yeah, I was like, so then these kids, then I looked into like baby farms, dude. That's another reason I like people donate their eggs, their sperm and stuff. Some of
I
those
know.
things are getting like mutated and sent to baby farms, and your ancestral DNA is literally
Well, have you
growing
gone into
to
have you figured out about adrenochrome? Like
yeah,
you
oh,
understand
of
what a
course. Yeah, of course. I mean, dude, and people will be like, "Oh, that's conspiracy." I'm like, "Bro, it's in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas."
yeah,
Like he has adrenochrome in his thing, and he's like, "Oh, you want some of it?" Like it's
yeah,
not a secret. It's not a lie. Like it's been around. So yeah, and that dude, even like the Chinese got in trouble because they were selling these health pills, these like younger youth health pills for
yeah,
women. And what they were is they were freezing dead fetuses from abortions that because you were only allowed one girl in China. So
yeah.
when
I
you have
saw
a
that.
second, they abort the second, they freeze it, they grind it all down into into dust, and then they put them in pill form and they sell them as a supplement. That's happening, dude. They've been caught before for doing that. Like
Oh my God.
this is all, bro, like insane, dude. Like people are like, oh my god. And again, you open people's minds and they get so scared because if they start to believe it, they're like, oh my god. You're like, yeah, bro, that's this is it. Like, welcome, bro. Like you're in it
No, they don't even want to
fully.
contemplate that there's like an evil that could do something like that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, really
yeah,
even think of it thinking this way, because this was a trouble for me. I was the main reason I joined the military. Twin Towers, bro. I took
yeah. Of
personally,
course. Yeah, of
I thought
course.
someone attacked us. I thought Osama bin
Exactly.
Laden was the boogeyman. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, yeah, because that was, I mean, and that was like on a mass hypnosis scale. That's on a level of like, that's not just programming, that's like mass hypnosis. Like
But
you're
how can something
controlling the
be?
masses.
Think of the evil that goes with that, though, dude. Like you're
Yeah, yeah.
saying that
It,
you're gonna kill 5,000 American or even more than that American
right.
citizens in one. Well, you know what I'm saying? Like, keep
Yeah,
in mind, at the end of the day, the they we always talk about the they, the
yeah,
whoever they are. You know what I mean?
yeah.
They still have to be human as well. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So
that's the thing that there's a part of, so I've done enough research into this, and there definitely, if there's, here's another reason I believe in God. If you can see the evil that's going on in the world, there has to be the yang, yin to the yang. There's
Equal and
something that
opposite.
counterbalances. It
Yeah.
can't be all evil. So what's saving us then? Right? So it's there. It's like there is no light without, or dark light without
No, I hear
darkness,
you.
or there's
I
no
get you.
darkness without light. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
get you.
So
I get
yeah,
you.
yeah,
There
you
has to
feel
be an
me?
equal and
So there
opposite to
has to
every
be,
constant.
exactly 100%. So I feel you. That's the only thing that's like a saving grace, is like, because the thing is it comes down to just money. They've created a system. They know how to manipulate it and control us by it, and that's it. Like that's it. And the only way to
I
the
really
be
think, honestly, if you're gonna pick my brain a little bit, the only way I think that this can be countered, and listen, this is just me going off like this is speculation, if you will, but I'm allowed to do that because this is my podcast.
right,
So
right,
fuck you,
right.
YouTube.
Yeah, I have
Anyways,
a way that we can fix it too. I bet it's
so
the
okay,
same.
okay.
Go
So
ahead.
anyways, if you look at what's going on right now, it's the feminization of our, you know, of dudes.
The divine masculine.
They want to take all the hard O's out, so it's an easy day to fucking do whatever they want. You know what I'm saying?
Right, 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 right.
So honestly, the only problem they would have is really just guys that went to war. Honestly, guys that have actually fought. You know what I'm saying? And
Right, 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 right.
I think the answer is the only way to combat this is to have some form of strong leader. And it's a way to spread a message. And
Right,
you said it from the beginning, dude. Getting people to go against the grain, to even talk about half the shit that we talked about right here, to realize that
right,
it's
right,
actually happening, you have to
right.
be very
Yeah,
eloquent. Because if you half the people that listen to this, they're gonna point at us and be like, they're crazy fucking
yeah, yeah.
conspiracy theorists. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, of course. Of
to
course.
even just have a way with words to convince people that retards, this is
Yeah,
happening.
yeah,
This
yeah,
is a thing.
yeah. Yeah, no,
You
it's
know what I mean?
true. And I mean, dude, that's the only way to exist in this realm right now is to understand that everyone's brain dead. That's the only way I'm able to give everybody grace. And even like everyone laughs at me, like, damn, bro, you're so harsh. I'm like, no, it I can go into this every situation. Of course that guy's gonna cut me off. Of course that person's gonna turn with no blinker on. Of course that person's gonna cut across 4 lanes on the freeway. Of course that I literally, if I expect everyone to be half brain dead, then I'm able to adjust before things happen and getting all mad and riled up because that doesn't fix their brain
Doesn't do anything.
deadness.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
to me, if it allows me to give them grace and go into the world like, yeah, I know you guys are all brain dead. It's cool. Like you're all asleep. You're all just, and on top of it, let's even talk about how much of the all these people are on antidepressants and
Oh yeah.
actual
Oh yeah.
pharmaceuticals. Like
Oh yeah.
those numbers are much higher than marijuana, much higher than
Facts.
alcoholism, much
I mean,
higher
let's
than
be
all
real,
that.
dude. Fentanyl's probably bad out by you, but then it is out
Yeah,
here, bro. Like fentanyl is fucking dropping people.
yeah. It's literally like I watched today. I can even DM it to you. I follow this Instagram page that does statistics and it shows the drug overdoses. And like once you get to 2017, 18, fentanyl
Goes
just shoots all the way
forget
up.
about it.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's sketchy, bro. It's crazy. Yeah, it's sick. But it's another
So, anyways,
form
dude, I
of
mean,
the weapon.
you got at least you got a little something going on, dude. Your Instagram's popping, dude. You must
Yeah,
be doing
yeah.
something right. You know what I mean?
You know what? I mean, I just honestly, I'm just like, man, I used to hold back. I used to be like, oh, I don't know if I should post this. Oh, I don't know if I should post this. Oh, I don't know. But like, is this too much or is this? I don't know. Now I'm kind of like, you know what? If I think it's interesting, I'm gonna put it up. And so I just be putting it up, and and then sometimes like you'll see video of me just talking about like, yo, like, do you agree or what do you think this is? I mean, just opening the conversation.
Have
The
you had
number
to
one
deal with
thing that
shadow bans? Have you had to deal with shadow bans, dude? Because
Oh,
I'm getting
I've had to do,
killed.
yeah, yeah. Oh, dude. So I was shadow banned for years. I couldn't go live for like over a year. And even now, I honestly am still not sure why, but I have had a couple posts flagged and taken down though.
I just
And
delete.
they,
The only thing you can do is delete them.
yeah, yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah. So I was like, okay. But I mean, I don't know. It's weird though, because I am like, okay, I was like, how are these numbers going? But some of it's just so organic. Like people, I feel like they just feel like the need, like, oh, I have to share this. And then people hit me up, they're like, oh, bro, I literally will just go to your page after I'm out of work and just go scroll and peep all the stuff you post. Like it's a like I'd rather watch your channel than the TV channel. And I'm like, well, if that's the way you look at it, like I'll deprogram you, or whatever. No, so yeah, man. So that's it's been really popping off, and I'm just kind of like cool. Like I said, like it was funny because I was scared because it's like, man, if I talk about the truth, I'm gonna lose all these followers. And God now also is like, here, now I'm at 160K, and I'm like, okay, God, like cool, like what, dude, I thought this so funny. So these girls are like, just from the past and different people that I've been friends with. Some of them grew up and did acting, some grew up and did OnlyFans and this and that. I've known some of them for years. And I just see some of the things they have to post, and just I like, my homegirl hit me up. She's a nice person, but it's like, oh man, this resonated with me. That post is crazy. And I go look at her page and I'm like, oh man, you're doing all this and you have like 70K followers. Like that's like, I guess that's cool, but I'm like, dude, I'm so happy. I'm like, I'm over 160K and I didn't have to do any weird shit.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Like I got to just tell the truth. So I like,
You, dude, OnlyFans is killing women lately, dude. Now, like
bro,
they're
oh, I'm
doing the
sure.
absolute most.
Bro, I'm sure because everybody's on it. You know what I mean? Like everybody's, dude, I honestly, I can say I've never delved into any of that stuff, but
No,
no
I haven't
judgment
either.
on anybody. You know what?
No,
Actually,
no.
I will say on camera, I will say it in this chat though, to encourage people, especially guys. Like I would watch porn often, and
Do you
to
think
be
that's a
honest,
thing? I mean, listen, I hear all this like porn is deprogramming and programming, but dude, listen,
well,
I'll
so
spank one off
here's
to support it, I'll be
look,
fine. Like it doesn't
yeah,
control
yeah,
my
no.
day.
So the thing is that what it is that your seed is literally like God given, like you're a man and that's your seed, and you're just wasting your energy and your seed on like things that are from the dark side. So in a way, it sounds weird to look at it like this. I never thought to word it like this, but you're sacrificing your seed, which is to bring life into the earth. Which, not saying that you shouldn't
Oh, go
masturbate
ahead.
or do whatever
Keep
you want,
going. Keep going.
but that seed when it like sits and you hold it, and because we're made to partner, we're made to, but I'm not saying to hold it till whatever, it's anyone's time. But what you're doing is you're wasting like your precious seed and your precious energy, like your sacred energy, on something, like I said, that is run by Lucifer. So so that's where you're doing that and you're engaging in that. And it also is like, I started I've been off my fasting game for about a month. I got to get back on it. But when I was like fasting every day, like I haven't even masturbated in like 3 months. I haven't watched porn in like 4 months or something, because I was like, you know what, like I'm going to try to be like better myself as a man. And like there's nothing better for a man than discipline,
That's
and to
true. That's true.
like even last year I went like 100. Dude, I smoked earlier, so I'm like, it is what it is. But I last year I went sober for 100 days, 100% off of everything, and I've never had a problem with drugs or issue with anything, to be honest, ever. But it wasn't about that. It was about me being like, I to myself
Not
can,
being dependent on anything.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I hear you.
yeah. And even if you set like a month or 2 weeks and you just do that and then you do whatever you want to do, it's still like, okay, like I held, like I waited, I held myself. It's a form of like uh surrendering and not letting something else control your sexual urges. And
Facts.
if
I
you
hear
can
you.
like collect your sexual, because your sexual energy is like, can literally create life on this platform.
I mean,
So
that's true. Yeah.
imagine how deep and worth that is. It's like your sexual energy is like gold spirit coming through God through your kin. Like it's deep,
I mean,
So
it is life.
if
Let's be real. It's
yeah,
life. Yeah.
if you can
Yeah.
bring life into earth on that, like think about how special it is from that perspective. And even, quantumly and harnessing that energy. One thing I do is I'm very happy go lucky. I'm a nice guy. I like to hang out with people.
No,
I
you have good
talk a
energy for
lot.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
I like to be, but what I learn is sometimes I leave places and I was just like, ooh, I'm exhausted. And I'll
It
be like,
drained you.
oh man,
Yeah.
I give too much of my energy out, and it's only because I love people, because I see myself in them, and these familiar, that's like the coolest thing when you see yourself in people and you're like, dang, dude, like you're from Africa, but you're my brother, bro. Like I
I
see
hear you.
myself in you, it's like crazy. And you can almost like literally see yourself in these people. And like these are
Facts.
even strangers. I mean, even girls, I mean, like, damn, you're cool, you're dope, like you're real, like that's what
You know what's
connects.
trippy,
That's the
dude?
ultimate
I don't know if
connection.
I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but when I was in listen, I've done some time overseas, okay? And I've been
Hmm.
in a lot of situations where I was the only person that spoke English. And
Hmm.
whenever you're in a situation where, like, for example, I was in Afghanistan and I was eating at a probably a place I shouldn't have been at the time, but I was the only one that spoke English, and it's almost like I could hear, like, just from them looking at me, what they meant by what they were saying, and I could have a whole
Right.
conversation with them. Like, I don't know,
Yeah,
there's something
exactly.
behind that. I hear you.
No, no, definitely. And that's you like being so there's like this is a new age of men. Like we still yours exactly my age. I still feel like a big ass teenager, bro. I can't believe 15 was 20 years ago. You know what I'm
I know,
saying? Like
right? Yeah, I
it's
know, I
so
know, I know.
bizarre and so weird. But I'm just saying, like, we're just big kids. Like, shit, what was I gonna say? It was about the you said being able to communicate like telepathically. Like oh yeah, now I remember saying we're just like big kids, and so we're growing into these men. We're the new man, right? So we're like, I remember being like, dang, when someone's like that, he's 34, 35, that's a man. They're not like that's a boy, they're like that's a man. And I'm like, oh, okay, like I'm the new man. And so the new man has to be different from the old man. And so being able to shed the old ways and to like be like in alignment with our energy, like it sounds like you are. That's why you're able to communicate with people, and you start being like, damn, do I have telepathic powers? Bro, when you're like in yourself truly, yeah, you do have powers. There's stuff that like they don't want you to know that you have access to. And a lot of people are like so calcified in the pineal gland that they're not even able to begin to believe that anything like that's possible. Like I've
Facts.
seen crazy things. I've seen like um I've seen I've seen a fire just like super ignite. I was with my brother that I told you from Africa, like my boy, him and I were up in the mountains and we were like meditating and praying and did some like DMT and some mushrooms and really went in, and it was like beautiful. And like we meditated by the fire, bro. And like this fire like blasted huge flames like out of nowhere from like this tiny fire. And I remember him and I jumping up and he's like, bro, I'll never let anybody tell me that that didn't just happen. I was like, bro, crazy. Like I seen just that. And then I seen a plate literally shatter with me, him, and a couple of our other homies. We all had our hands on this table while we were talking in this kitchen that we are at in Arizona. AC's on. It's nice, a nice house. All our hands. Once my friend put both of his hands on the counter as the fourth dude, the plate goes and like pops, and I'm like, bro. And Salim's like the fire, bro. And I'm like, this is like there's crazy energy. You can channel crazy energy. Like even I did this post of like what sound waves look like and how it aligns with your molecular on a molecular level. And since we're like 70% water or whatever, it controls all of that pulse. So like when you're listening to music, it's
Yeah,
literally
I saw that.
speaking of 432 hertz is a healing frequency. And my boy at Good Lion TV, all his documentaries, he compresses them all into 432. So when you're watching his docs, it's like deprogramming you through positive messaging. So that's another thing that my boy, Good Lion TV, he the way that the dark side uses negative influence through TV programming and planting little negative seeds and all this weird stuff. He's doing deprogramming and playing music in 4 hertz and healing, and we're using the
You
programming and
referring
the
to like how like maybe rap music,
yeah, yeah,
like
like rap music, the 808 is the lowest frequency in the body, so if you're activating that chakra, more than anything, and that's the thing too. Like, dude, there's ways to counteract all this. There's like breath work. Um, there's even like when you're doing certain breath work and certain postures, and you literally will like squeeze. I know it sounds funny, but like you'll squeeze your butt, and it literally when you're breathing in a certain like a when you're breathing in a certain way so much, so heavy after so many minutes, you start to activate parts of your body. And you can literally, like, as you're like pumping your lower half, it's like building, pushing up your spinal cord, the fluid to activate like the rest of your body and your energy and your spirit. Like, there's ways to act. And that's the Native American in me, too. Is just like, there's different ways to activate your body. Your body is an instrument of light, and you should be, that's when, like, even like I said, like tripping after like really finding God. Dude, I've sat there and just felt God's love for me. Like, he was just there with me. And I was like tripping. And people be like, you trip on mushrooms and talk to God? I'm like, yeah, bro. Like, his love is so amazing, bro. Like, I can't even tell you how good, how like loved I felt. And it's now, as a father myself, the analogy of like a father-son relationship. Like, I feel myself carrying a bunch of heavy shit, and God's like, God forgive me for cursing, because the same mouth that's cursing is the same mouth that I praise him with on Sunday. So I shouldn't say that. But, oh shoot. Where is that? So, no, um, shoot, I forgot what I was gonna say.
You're good. You were on one, bro.
Yeah, always, bro. Story of my life. But man,
I
I
don't know. I
can't
mean,
really
I've
think.
tripped a few times. I've tripped a few
Oh,
times, and
oh yeah. God, feeling God's love. And like, again, blending that spiritual with like having him to talk to and be available to you. People feel silly. Like, one of my best friends, like, that I, been friends with forever, is having trouble with his kid's development, and he's dealing with stuff with his son's mom, who likes to drink, and is dealing with this and dealing with that. And he's like, oh man, I'm like, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm like, bro, you've been my boy for like ever. I'm like, look, what do you have to lose, bro? You have everything to gain and nothing to lose by getting on your knees by your bed and turning off your phone and really just praying. Like, you have to genuinely seek him. Like, he doesn't have to seek you. You're his kid. You should, dad, what
what
do
he
I
does, he
need?
doesn't want
Dad.
to hear you. He doesn't want to hear you.
Oh, what? Who? God?
Like he doesn't want to start praying. Is that what you're saying? Like he's never
No,
prayed
no.
before?
Oh, no. Oh, yeah. No. He's like, kind of like, yeah. He's like, okay, I hear you. I'm like, they're coming for me, bro. Um, um, but no. He's like, no, I hear you. I feel you. I'm like, look, nobody can make you do it, bro. Like, I'm not gonna make you do it. I know. I was like, what do you have to lose, bro? Like, honestly, at this point, like, some of my friends, they be going through their life stuff and depression and this and that, and I'm like, dude, I'm like, if you pray, you talk to God, I'm like, you're all in your head. You're trying to do it by yourself. That's my biggest problem too. Is like, I try to do things on my own. I'm good, I'm good. And I'm like, would I want my son, see my son carrying my kid, imagine my kid carrying all this weight, and he's exhausted and he's like walking, and I'm just there like,
Hmm.
go ahead, dude. Or would I be like, give me that. Give me all of that, dude. Give it to me. If here you are sweating, looking at me like I can't survive, I'm gonna die, like carrying all this weight. I'm like, dude, as a father, and I saw that to my son in real life, that him carrying all kinds of weight, I'd be like, I'll carry all of that. You're tripping. It's the same thing, bro. Like, and that's where faith comes in. That's where, like, you know, we all have the, okay, well, if I spend this, where am I supposed to get this? Where's this going to come from? It's like, I don't know. I remember being like, oh God, oh, and now I'm just like, bro, God, like, bro, I'm such a good human. You made a good human, and I'm doing, my best. I'm not perfect, but I'm on the right side. I'm on the loving side. I'm sharing your word. I'm sharing the message. I'm sharing what I've learned. Every because the thing is I'm a rebel, bro. You can't make me do anything. If someone wants me to go left, I'm gonna go right. If someone tells me to do this, I'm gonna do that. That's just kind of how I've always been. So, and that's just like I said, that's probably horrible, but that's the rebel in me. But you can't make anyone go to church. You can't make anybody see God. They just got to come to God in their own time if they even ever want to. And here's the thing, people. I also tell people, I'm like, so what? You live a good long life believing in God, and maybe and you follow the rules of the morality, and you try to live a good life, and you find out that there was no God, but you lived a good life being a good human.
I hear that.
Would
I
you
get that
rather would
argument.
you rather that, or would you rather die and be
Being,
like,
yeah, yeah,
oh
miserable
my
all the
God?
time. I get it.
Because I mean, if you can't see how real and alive the work of evil, there is no evil outside of man.
That's true.
Everything in the world, in nature, everything is in perfect harmony.
That is
Man is the only thing on this
humans.
planet that is evil, human beings. So
That's true.
look at what's going on. That means that there is a darkness here that's controlling it. And there's pawns, and there's people put into play, and these people, and it's called Skull and Bones at Yale. Go look up who is in Skull and
Yeah,
Bones.
but think about this. Think about this. Why have there been all these like groups? Illuminati, Skull and Bones. I mean, we could go all day with the different groups. Like, why would a group feel so comfortable like doing evil? Like, think about it. Humans,
The
we're
same the
susceptible.
same way that they will do adrenochrome knowing where it comes from.
No, 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 no. I hear you, but hear this. Like, even that. Why? How would you feel comfortable drinking a fucking kid's blood?
Be-
That's
because
terrified. You know what I'm saying?
because it's the devil, bro. There's no
No,
other
you know what I
explanation.
feel. You know what I feel it is. You know what I feel it is. I feel like the 13 families back before
Mhm.
they like took over, they invested their money in knowledge. They invested their money in figuring out like what's behind certain things. And I truly believe that the people that run this world, they found out religion's bullshit. I think that's why they're comfortable with. Think about it. How would you be able to like just comfortably do evil atrocities? You would like you'd feel shame.
Without consequences.
This is what
Without
I'm
consequences.
saying. This is what I'm saying.
That's because they already know that they're going to hell. They've accepted it. They're not
But
scared
think
of
about
it.
it, dude. No one's gonna like listen. You can tell me you're badass. Yeah, I get it. But no one's gonna be comfortable with going to hell.
But
You know what I'm
but
saying?
the
Like they can
trade
tell
but
you that
here's
all
but the,
day.
but the trade-off is that they do tell you that all day. And they think that because they're convinced that there is no God, that there is no devil, that nothing happens.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
at the end of their life, they always get scared and go, wait. Just not all of them, but some of them.
No,
But
I hear
the
you.
thing
I
is,
get what you're saying.
and some of them have, there's been enough even like supernatural experiences where even like there was this Luciferian, and he's telling his story. He was actually came to Christ in his 30s, but he was one of the heads of the Luciferian church. And he's like, we used to always fucking bash on the Christians out there, teaching the word and stuff. And there's just been so many accounts of like supernatural experiences on top of it all, to where it's like, look, quantum energy is real, quantum healing is real. We have it. We don't give it to us because then that means no one would be on pharmaceuticals, or they'd make it too expensive for anyone to be able to use it anyways. Any technology we know now
Really
is
too.
about 15 years old.
Yeah,
there's
it's a fact.
there's so much advanced stuff that we don't even know about. And like I said, that's quantum. That's like, people be like, oh man, like, oh, 5G towers. I'm like, bro, if you put enough aluminum in the human body and you raise the frequencies that are invisible on these 5G towers, and all of the aluminum's activated, what happens and you're sitting in a Tesla car, what happens when you put foil in the microwave, my man?
I even know you what you posted the other day about the intelligence community talking about how they're using weapons
Yeah,
that
mine
mess with people.
the
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. They're using they're able to, that's so your phone's not listening to you, it's reading your brain waves. So that's the thing too. So back to the like about quantum. So if you're aware of this quantum field and your quantum energy, we are walking antennas. We are walking beams of light, right? And some of us are dimmed down and they're trying to shut that completely down in the human body and in the human soul. That's another reason people don't know. I go by Scotty the Kid. Like, why do you go by Scotty the Kid? I'm like, because the creative adult is the kid who never died, because like I will always just be a big kid because that's the zone that I pull my creativity from, my visions from, my music, my creative energy and forces. I always feel like, oh, anything can happen. I live like my dreams are still coming true daily, and I push for that, and I will live there, because once you don't live there, you've given up and you've folded and you're an NPC and you're officially in the system and brainwashed and not wanting to even chase your dreams or be creative at all anymore. So they're trying to beam that, hold that down. So, obviously, this, along with the activation of electric cars, of smart devices, of this, of that, that even our Wi-Fi can go around our bodies, and they can see our body shapes in our homes through the Wi-Fi. To combat it, again, people go, well, how do you combat it? I'm like, bro, if I tell you, you're gonna think I'm crazy, and you're gonna be like, that's it. And I'm gonna tell you, yeah, that's it. Because the only way to combat it is you have to be aware of it, and you have to be like, okay, I'm eating this and it's probably not the best thing for me, but I'm looking at it and I'm telling it energetically, give me what I need and get the rest of it, get out of me. That's why I pray for my food. That's what, when I'm outside exercising, I exercise at the gym, I exercise in my backyard, and I know I see the chemtrails, but I'm out here having to breathe it in and out, and I'm like, God, protect me, keep my energy safe. Let this air coming in and out of me. And let me tell you why I do that. Also, there was this little project where they showed these two bunnies. All right, the two bunnies. There were these 10 bunnies. This is an experiment they did. There were 10 bunnies at this care center facility, whatever. And they had an area, a big circle, and they would throw 10 pallets of food down to each bunny one by one. And they did 8 of them. They fed with the food on the ground. The bunny walked up to it, ate it, picked it up. Okay, put the next one. They did 8 of those, whatever, right? Then they had the other two, and they held it, and they gave it the same amount of food, but they held it and nurtured it while they fed it, right? The 8 that got fed on the ground where they had to go get their food, they converted the food into cholesterol. The animals, the 2 that were fed and pet and loved while they were eating, converted it into some protein, and it benefited their body. And these are
That's
bunnies,
wild.
dude. So,
Damn.
and all we really are is a spinal cord. So your spinal cord is like your
Yeah.
antenna, right? Like we're like a big sperm, I say, because it's a
Yeah, no, it
skull,
does look
it's the
like that.
head, and then it's like a tail. And
Does
and
look like
that's
that.
that's all we really are, bro. So like when you're aware and you meditate and you come to that energy and you feel that, and you start doing breath work and revving that up, and you're like, like you become so powerful that nothing can affect you. Not the
Dope.
shower, not the
Yeah, that's
water.
dope.
It's all in your mind. And your mind can shift its frequency so much to where it's like it raises, you're like almost above it. It like goes and it's like here, but it can't get, it even goes in, but it can't even stay in. You shed it. And people are like, that's crazy. I'm like, because once you get so deep down, and you realize that if we all knew we had access to this power simultaneously,
Oh, it'd be a wrap.
and we all realized we're brothers and sisters, there is no extremists of anything. We're supposed to live in harmony. And that's the most like hippie, oh, peace sounding thing. But the same man that, it's something, I read this thing that was like the same man that wants peace should be able to, would also kill for it. So I was like, whoa, like that's pretty crazy, because it's true. Like you have to, like the same man that has to want peace has to be willing to set shit straight as well. to be like, no, that isn't correct. No, that's not right. I'm not teaching my kid that. I'm telling my son this. And if you have, this and that, you know what I mean? So you have to set it straight. And that just comes down to being real, which we don't live in a society that reaps benefits from being real. More, it's
That's fact.
easier to be fake and play the game and brown
Yeah.
nose and pat the back and be like, "Yeah, I got a raise today because I kissed my boss's ass all day, all week again." That's cool, but that's a form of selling out. Like if you change anything about yourself for this, you're a sellout to me.
Yeah.
If you
Facts.
put your morals aside, if you say some stuff in music that you wouldn't say because it sounds better, but it's not good, or you're like you're making your art and you're letting other people dictate how you do that for their, to push their agenda or to make you look a certain way or feed your ego to like have other people feel like their egos are being fed when they listen. It's like it's exponential. Music also, again, it's so powerful. It's coming through a force, an invisible field.
Yeah, that's a fact.
So that's like that's magic by itself, damn near.
No,
you
no,
know,
you're right. It's true. Yeah, I hear
it's
you.
a
I
trick.
mean,
It's a
words have
trick.
meaning. They're powerful. And
Right. And
clearly they
their
do affect.
affirmations, think about like
Yeah.
hooks, what you're saying. So dude, actually I'm stoked because I have a song coming out that's more like alternative, coming kind of moving in an alternative
Like
direction, like
rock.
rock direction. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cause I mean I like released a hip hop song last year and I do like mostly hip hop has been my thing, but I just been kind of like feeling like going to the studio and just making music, busting out the guitar and piano and keys and getting down and stuff. And now it's kind of moving in that direction, but it's cool because I'm like using the truth in my lyrics, and I'm also kind of using a different vibe, and it's more organic, and it's like really like almost like grungy a little bit, but like not heavy. So but it's cool. But even the hook, like Michael Jackson said, he's like, yeah, whatever hook you're saying over and over and over and over, that you're putting that in your realm, you're putting that in your reality. So the hook on this song is no longer in the matrix. Can you tell me what you're chasing? Pray and you make it out. Anything to
It's
break
dope.
it now. Yeah, it's dope. It's called Midnight. But yeah, but it's basically talking about the lyrics are like, I'm so tired and I'm so sick. Um midnight hours on their lies and tricks. So I'm talking about like the truths coming out and certain things, but it's in a universal way where my friend's like, "Oh, is this about a chick?" And I'm like, what? No. I'm like, no, what? This is not about a chick, bro. This is about the like literally breaking the matrix and getting out of the system. And he's like, oh damn, bro, it kind of sounds like maybe a relationship song. And I was like, that's cool. And then I listened to it from that perspective. I was like, it low key sounds like it could. I'm like, whatever. But I was like, nah, bro, it's just
Hey,
about
whatever
breaking
works
that.
for you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, whatever. But yeah, so I'm excited about that and kind of just taking my time because I want to get like a really cool music video going with that and stuff. But yeah, man, I mean, it's definitely not an easy world to live in, being like as aware as we are. But
Well,
again, there's
before you leave, dude, why don't you say something to the people that maybe say something to the people that believe the things that you're talking about right now that I believe as well, and maybe feel a little bit alone. What would you tell them? People that are just coming into the first time of their the
yeah.
truth, and they're starting to really believe some of this shit. Like what
Yeah.
would you recommend to them?
Well, I would definitely tell them that they need to look up beginner breath work and also kind of go inward and meditate and to kind of like find that peace inside because it's it's easy to be like like I do it myself. I'm like, oh my God, nobody knows what's going on. Everyone's asleep. And da, 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 blah, blah, blah. And oh, are they ever going to wake up? This is horrible. The service is horrible. This person, this is bad. This is bad. This is failing. That's bad. Everything is going like, and you have to kind of like step back and go like breathe. And also, so you have to remember that that's breathing is like people underestimate like step side, take 10 deep breaths. You're going to feel better no matter what. It's just literally air going into your lungs and your blood's pumping. It's good for you. Like, so just being able to sit there in the present by yourself with your own thoughts and know that you're the watcher of your thoughts. Your thoughts are not you are the watcher of your thoughts.
That's
So
hard.
it's that's one that I've also had to kind of learn because I get so caught up in the thoughts and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is like my trauma mixed with like my old knowledge with my ego getting stuck like in on like shit, dumb shit. Let me just step back and I'm like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay, 5 years from now, will this situation at all matter? I'm like, no, it won't. Okay, cool. Check myself, like bring it back, but for people that are believing in it, like there it's funny because you start to like open up about all of this, but there is a side that you need to like hone in through meditation. There's no other way, like going into silence to yourself in your mind and like speaking freely to your thoughts to God and to or to whoever, and just being in that moment. Like I can even tell, I'll send you a couple like 10-minute meditation little things because they're guided and they help you breathe like this, hold your breath, like, and they're all really great things. Let go of the shame if people hurting you. Take 10 breaths to like inhale the peace, exhale like the pain, like all of these things you envision. It helps process all these things. So if you want to know the truth and you're like, yo, I'm a truther, I want to break out the matrix, that also requires certain discipline when it comes to your health. You have to like, you really, people are going to believe you when they see that you're able to be disciplined yourself.
yeah, yep,
When they see your life and go, okay, this guy's kind of got it together.
yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
I look like a crazy conspiracy theorist and I'm like, oh my God, bro, everything's failing. Even sometimes I have those days where I'm like, oh my God, I got to figure this out. What's going on? But it's like, I don't, you have to be an example so people can be like, oh man, you're awake, but you also found like your groove in this reality. And you're like,
You're
yeah,
comfortable
the
being
best.
awake. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And it's okay because, at the end of the day, like I said, like I love people. That's just the way I am. Even if they're asleep, even if they're so like, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh man, bro, you don't even know, da 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 da. Because sometimes I pick my battles, man. And I don't, some people I just know in my gut, it ain't worth even arguing with you over.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
And then you're like, okay, I'll just tone it down, I'll be cool because I respect you and I love you as a person. I'd much rather just keep your friendship even if we're not going to be fully on the same page. Now if my partner, that's a different story. If you're someone I'm dating or whatever, there's no way it's going to work. It's just
Yeah,
not going to
you
work
gotta
if you're
be.
not
Yeah,
fully in. You have to be like my girl. She's like fully knows all of it too, and she's the one that's more on the spiritual, like health, plant. She's a plant medicine woman, health person, like life coach, yoga person, like
gotcha,
which also
gotcha.
people say yoga was like worship, devil worship or something originally, is what I heard from the
I haven't heard
dude.
that.
Dude, I heard that and I was like, no way. So people that are gonna listen, like, oh my God, but look, chill out. This is just for the health. But but yeah, no, it's just she's kind of been like, she's known the truths like I have as long, like probably been awake like a little less time than me, but she also is like super on her health tip. So
That's
she's
dope.
combined her health tip with her mental health and her physical health, combined it with the understanding of the whole matrix,
Got you.
and she's been like, let's do this is healthier, we could try this, we could do this. And I'm like, oh damn, you're totally right. Like, yeah, no, like, and but then she's like, oh my God, can you believe she's not like talking
She's not a
about like
hater, but she
people.
can be supportive.
she's
Yeah, I
she's
get
not,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's not a hater, but she's like, oh man, did you see like you hear what they're talking about? She's like, I'm surprised you didn't say anything. She's like, I wanted to see so bad just because we know about the truth behind that. And they're like, and those people are telling us, oh man, those guys over there were like tripped out because of the vaccine. And
Got
like
you.
and they were like, and we're sitting there like, they're like, they weren't vaccinated. And we're like, okay,
Yeah,
all
yeah, I get you.
right,
I get you.
but
Yeah.
still, and she's like, oh man, isn't it a trip? I'm like, yeah, there's two realities going on at the same time simultaneously, the lower frequency, the higher frequency. And we're in the higher
Yeah.
frequency. The people in the higher frequency, like you and me, we connect. We're called light workers. We connect, we share knowledge, we share intelligence, and we like vibe out. And we're like, okay. And then there's the people in the lower frequency that don't even know there's a higher frequency.
I know. I know. Yeah. Yeah. It's
So,
hard.
so you got
Yeah.
to, yeah, but ignorance is bliss. And people go,
True.
even though they know in their gut, some people I've talked to, they know, we both know they're in their gut, like, oh no, like I've heard of that, but like I don't want to believe it. And I'm like, oh. you better believe it, you know? And then they're like, oh no, like I don't, dude, like just okay, like just stop. Like I don't, and I'm like, all right, bro, you don't want to know the truth? I'm like, you don't want to know the truth? Like, but that's the thing. When you start learning that a lot of it's true, and you start finding pages like my page, your page, these
Yeah, yeah,
pages,
yeah.
you know,
I get it.
then people start like, they're just in denial, bro.
Yeah, I
They're in
know.
denial
It's
and
not
they're
it's not
scared.
easy.
They're just scared. They're just scared. I can't
It's
even
a
blame
fact.
them. They're
It's a
scared.
fact.
And they're like, I'd rather die not knowing the truth and following like a
I
slave.
can't live like that. I can't live like an
Me,
ignorant person.
me
I
either.
can't. I
Me
can't.
either, bro.
Yeah.
Me either. I
But
can't.
either way, Scotty, I appreciate you coming
Yeah.
by, man.
Hell yeah, bro.
I'll
Much
definitely
love.
keep following the
It
page,
was
and
cool.
maybe we can get
Hell
up
yeah.
again and have another
We'll get up.
conversation, man.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get up again. We'll cut some of this up. People will vibe out.
Sounds good, bro.
Hell yeah.
Well, I
All right,
appreciate you,
bro.
man. Take
Of
it easy,
course.
buddy.
Have a good one, brother. Peace.
Cheers.